Alright, we got a quick easy job on the XJ today. We're going to change the valve cover. So if you take a look in here, look at all the dirt and grime oil that's leaking around this valve cover. And I've never changed, of all the work I've done on this, I've never changed the valve cover gasket. So we're going to make a quick job of that. Please like and subscribe. And this is a great light, by the way. If you can catch it at Lowe's, you can get it for $37. So good, I actually bought 2 of them. First thing I'm going to do is take out these 11mm bolts. They go all the way around this side of the motor, but once you get to that back corner, it turns into these little studs. So let's take these out first. It's got 8 of those 11mm bolts, and then the rest of them are these 11mm nuts, which you'll need a deep socket to do. Correction, they're not a nut. Well, it looks like it's a nut on a stud. Now, there's one on the very back of the valve cover. You're going to have to get a swiveled in there to get. Okay, so we got 7 of these nut on studs and 8 of the bolts out. Now you've obviously got to remove some of this stuff here, so what we're going to do is we're going to remove this pipe here. It doesn't come out there. I bet we can take it out here though. Yeah. Okay, so we got that off, and then we got a couple of little bitty nuts here we're going to have to take off, and then we'll take that and this, and it should pop right out. Now this has been changed. You can see made in China. I've got another video on this, but this should come out right easy. This little, I guess it's a PCV valve. Be careful, you don't want to break it. So in fact, Dorman makes the replacement kit for this hose here and this hose here. I'll put a link in the description, but not this piece. If you break this piece, you're going to have to go to a wrecking yard or make one. All right, these are 8mm, very simple. All right, I got this disconnected. I've got this, I think, disconnected here, and you can see it's already moving. So I just got to get enough room. I may have to take this off to raise this up a little bit. So I would suggest this throttle cable, and I guess this is the not only the throttle cable but the cruise control cable. You want to take those 2 bolts out, one right here. These are 10mm, one right there, and that way you can get you some room to pull this thing out. Another thing you got to keep in mind is this wiring harness right here. It just kind of pushes over some of these large studs, so it might get in the way. So I'm going to try to pop this up. And all you got to do is pull straight up. Be careful, it might be brittle. But I just pulled straight up and it came out. You see? So now I should have some room to pull this thing out. All right, what I also have decided to do is take off this radiator hose and this heater hose. It'll give me a little bit more clearance. Now with the hoses out of the way, I think I got enough room to lift this thing up. All right, another tip. Let's go ahead and take these off. They just do like this. The 2 black plastic ones just slide forward and come off, and this metal one is a spring, so you can just, if you just push it, it'll come off. There we go. And then you can move this out of the way. So you're going to see these valve cover, this head at the same time. Let's see. All right. Look at there, ladies and gentlemen. See how clean that is? That's what happens when you change your oil regularly. So this motor, at least since I've been having it, the oil is changed religiously, and it looks like it shows no sludge buildup. And we take a look in here, same for in here. Okay, this is obviously the original valve cover gasket to me. This is what it looks like. I bought these a while back prior to the shop getting destroyed by the hurricane, but the box got all wet, as you can see, but the gasket should be fine inside. And this is your part number if you get a Fel Pro gasket. I I think I got this from Rock Auto. Either that or AutoZone. And what you'll notice on these gaskets is that one of these holes in this little cross brace here is round and oval. The oval goes toward the front of the vehicle. That goes toward the back based on this. And it looks like the gasket is still in good shape. There is a little surface rust built up on these cross things because that box was wet, but no biggie. Also, it gives you the seals for where these screws go. For these, you got to be careful. You have to install these only a certain way. I'm going to show you that. Okay, the last one of these I did was different. If you look at the original bolt hole seals, they go through. There's a little metal washer and sleeve, and it goes all the way through. These new ones do not do that. It looks like they just pop in. I don't know what's their thought behind that. And I noticed, which is very disappointing, that this is made in China. So I just hope this is not a cost-cutting thing by Felpro. Normally they have pretty good stuff, but this is concerning. So anyway, to get these are kind of a pain to get out. So to get these little bolt seals out, what I'm doing is I just basically use a screwdriver and pry up, and they'll come out like that. I got them all out. You might struggle a little bit taking these out. These actually came out pretty easy because they were so deteriorated. The bottom piece just snapped off when I pried them up. But the last one I did was kind of a pain. But these came out pretty simple. And of course, you've got to clean your gasket mating surface really good. Just be easy on it. Just get all the oil and grime. I'll also squirt this with some brake cleaner and get it good and shiny. Now I'm going to use this Dremel with this little wire brush to get down here and get it real clean. As you can see, I've got my mating surface all nice and bright and clean. I use this wire wheel on a drill, but this is metal. If this was aluminum, I probably would not use that. You need to be careful and not gouge the metal, but this is looks like it's about ready to go back. And of course, these little bolt seals just pop in like that. And I found the best way to pop these in is do them when you're looking at it from underneath, because you want to make sure that all three of those little snaps go around that ring. All right, now's a good time to clean up all your hardware. I just sprayed some brake cleaner to clean these bolts off, but if you're going to paint your valve cover gasket, I guess now would be the time to do it. And when you set the new one on there, you've got, remember I showed you these the oblong hole goes toward the front of the vehicle, and you've got the not oblong, the round one goes toward the back. Everything's look tidy, and this is very simple, just a reverse, just pop it back on. So you got to be real careful tightening these down. At torquespecs.com, you can look a lot of this stuff up. It says about 4.5 foot-pounds on these. So I don't know if I have a torque wrench that will do that. And you want to do it in a crisscross pattern. About the closest thing I have to a torque wrench is this Harbor Freight Pittsburgh one. And so since it is 4.5 foot-pounds, this is a little 1/4 inch torque wrench. Is measured in inch pounds, so you divide that, you multiply it times 12, so that's about 54 inch pounds. So we're going to use this. Okay, they are all torqued to 4.5 foot-pounds. The installation is reversed, so I'm going to put my throttle cables back on, put my vent tube, my PCV valve, my heater hoses back on, and I should be done. Interesting note, the way that these bolt seals that came with this Felpro gasket, you see the bolt kind of digs into them, and they're not tightened very tight. Like I say, 4.5 foot-pounds is not very tight, but we'll see how they last. But again, that's the first time I've used a Jeep valve cover with one of those. Normally it had the little metal sleeve like originally came with it. And don't forget to push your wiring harness back over these studs. It's running, no visible leaks, but of course it takes a while before you can see something like this leak. So let's hope it don't.